So the second part of chapter 12, we're talking about estimating cash flows. So let's talk about gross fixed asset changes. Gross fixed asset is basically an asset when you just buy it if you need it in the project, right? If you need to have more plant or more equipment or something like that, oh, that's gonna be a fixed asset, right? Gross means that it has no depreciation. So this is gonna affect our project's cash flow, right? At the beginning, we're gonna be using money to buy the asset, right? So that's the depreciable basis. At the end, if we sell or when we sell whatever's left of our machine, we're gonna get some money for it, and there's tax consequences. So this is basically the formula that we use to calculate the after-tax cash flows if we sell an asset, right? Basically, book value plus parenthesis market value minus book value times 1 minus TC, right? If for some reason we sell at a value which is greater than book value, if our market value is greater than book value, yes, we're going to make a profit, but we need to pay taxes out of that profit. If we sell at a value that is when market value is less than book value, we are going to have some sort of tax credit, right? So now net working capital, as I mentioned before, net working capital is current assets minus current liabilities. Uh, Sometimes at the beginning of our projects, we are going to need to have an increase in cash or inventories or some other type of current assets. Well, that's money that we're going to be using and money that we're going to be tying to our project, right? It is money that is locked there. It's money that is not available for our stockholders, right? So our cash flow goes down, right? If we are tying money and inventories to our project, our cash flow goes down, and that's an increase in net working capital, right? Now, as time goes on, we should expect our sales to go up, but then they're gonna peak and then they're gonna start going down, right? Uh, excuse me. As our sales start going down, we should not assume that we're always gonna get the same money, you know. So we will need less and less net working capital as the project gets older. Now, in order to calculate depreciation, the IRS asks us to use the half-year convention. I assume we start using whatever we're depreciating at the middle of the year, right? Uh, there's a table. Basically, you multiply the basis, you multiply how much money you've put times each of the percentage based on the year. You know, if it's your first year, you multiply by this line, second year, and so forth. 2.5 years, 3.5 years, 4, 5. How long is it taking you to recover your depreciation? So there is another way of depreciating. It's called Maker's accelerator depreciation, the double declining balance method. They go hand in hand. There's also a table. It's not in the slides, but it's in your book. It's a table like this table right here, just with different percentages. Basically, you follow the percentage and multiply the percentage times your total basis, and that's going to be how much depreciation are you going to have. Now, you need to make sure that you're following the right value. Why would you want to accelerate your depreciation? Well, don't forget that depreciation brings tax benefits, right? So for some companies, having a lower taxable base might be more attractive than waiting. Now, the free cash flow can be used to calculate the total project cost for many project types, right? That is, whatever money is left, so that money that is left to pay your bondholders and stockholders. There is a different, well, this is kind of like a little bit of a different topic, which is called the equivalent annual cash flow or equivalent annual cost. It's a project that is going to be repeating itself forever. Think of this as buying two cars, right? Think of this as buying two cars. One car is going to be good for 3 years, and the other one is going to be good for 5 years. Now, if we want to make a decision on which car is the best, well, we don't calculate total cost, right? Why? Because if we're going to be using a car for 5 years, chances are that we're going to be spending more money than the car that we're going to be using for 3 years, right? So we need to take that into account, right? We need to take that into account because everything is different. The way you're going to do it is pretty simple. You're just going to do time value of money and find your payment, right? Think of it as if you were paying for the car, right? Think of it as if you have a car for credit and you're paying for it. Now, flotation costs. We mentioned this in the previous chapter, is basically commissions and fees that we need to pay, right? Every time we issue new securities. Uh, a way in which we can do that is uh, we calculate the flotation adjusted returns. This is kind of like the weighted average cost of capital with flotation adjusted returns, or we can calculate our